Welcome back to Bonkers for Boro. I hope you had a really good weekend. I certainly did, because Middlesbrough recorded a wonderful 4-0 victory over Queen's Park Rangers. Of course, we were playing late on Sunday afternoon because of FA Cup matches and that sort of thing. We were playing on Sky Sports at a slightly irregular time, but Middlesbrough were backed by a really buoyant fan base at Loftus Road. You could hear them all the way throughout the match, and for Middlesbrough it was a great opportunity to really cement ourselves back into the automatic promotion places after what's been a bit of a tricky couple of weeks, you could say. Of course, we had that little blip in form. We did get back to winning ways against Birmingham City. Results this weekend meant that there was a little bit of pressure on Middlesbrough to get a positive result, but we did exactly that against Queen's Park Rangers. Now, I think when you were looking at the championship table going into the match against QPR, there was that pressure on Middlesbrough. Coventry City had won. Millwall had won against Hull City. Ipswich had slipped up, however, against Leicester City. And that meant for Middlesbrough that there was an opportunity to really kind of take matters back into our own hands by getting that 3 points. And we did exactly that. It meant that 3 points against Queen's Park Rangers puts us on 69 points. Ipswich are on 64. Yes, they've got a game in hand, but it means that Middlesbrough are now in control of their own destiny once again after what had been a tricky couple of weeks. Now, in terms of Middlesbrough's performance against Queen's Park Rangers, I mean, there's not really any sort of fault that you can pick in the way that Middlesbrough played. There was a couple of changes to the team. Adelson Malander and Tommy Conway dropped out of the starting 11. There were a couple of murmurings on social media that it was a surprising selection decision to drop two players who had been ever-present. But as far as I'm concerned, it's very much in Kim Hellberg we trust. I think I certainly back him. He knows what he's doing. He's always got a game plan for these sorts of games. And of course, Middlesbrough have got a really long week coming up. We've got Charlton Athletic on Wednesday night, and then we've got Bristol City next weekend as well. So, of course, managing our players, managing their game time is going to be a really big part of it as well. But even looking at the QPR game in isolation, you can't really argue with the way that Middlesbrough played and the fact that his game plan just went absolutely perfectly. The first half, Middlesbrough completely dominant in terms of time on the ball, passing the ball around well, barely gave QPR a sniff, threading it through, some brilliant passes from Luke Ayling into the final third, just picking out Middlesbrough's players in between QPR's defence and midfield and carving out loads of opportunities in doing so. We did only score one in that first half. It was that really quite scruffy David Strelec goal. Morgan Whittaker will probably be cursing him because it should have been his goal, but he did have two bites of the cherry. It ended up bouncing off David Strelec's hip/arm. Doesn't matter. Found its way into the back of the net, and that put Middlesbrough 1-0 up. I think the only real surprise from that first half was that Middlesbrough didn't score more, given how dominant they were. But I was thinking at half-time that given how dominant we'd been, the fact that there was so many spaces already, you could just see the game opening up even more in the second half once we started to make some changes and once QPR's team started to tire a little bit, and that's exactly what happened. We did manage to get more goals in that second half. Alan Brown made it 2-0 with a really good header. It came after Luke Ayling's wonderful work. Ball dropping over his shoulder, volleying it towards the top corner of the goal, bouncing off the crossbar, and Alan Brown was there to nod home. Hayden Hackney scored an absolutely glorious finish with the inside of his right foot, curling it into the bottom corner of the net, bouncing off the post. A really, really nice goal. Always looks great when it bounces off the post and into the bottom corner, and it was a real reward for Hayden Hackney, who'd gone close with a similar effort actually in the first half, but that one had just gone wide of the mark. And Middlesbrough, in complete control. Tommy Conway came onto the pitch. I don't know how many times Sky Sports said it yesterday, but Tommy Conway does have a good record against Queen's Park Rangers, and he managed to score once again from the penalty spot. He won the penalty, he converted the penalty, was able to celebrate with the Middlesbrough supporters, and that wrapped up a 4-0 win for Middlesbrough over Queen's Park Rangers. So it means that Middlesbrough are second in the table. Once again, it means that we're comfortably second in the table. We moved away from Millwall, who were sort of clipping at our heels a little bit. It means that we've put a little bit of daylight between us and Ipswich, who still have a game in hand. But with that 5 points there, it means that Middlesbrough are still very much in control of how that table is looking. So yes, Middlesbrough wrapped up that 4-0 victory over Queen's Park Rangers, cemented our spot in the top two in the Championship table. But I think the most impressive thing was just the way that Middlesbrough seemed to be going about their business. I don't think anyone can really be too surprised at how Kim Hellberg's side are playing. I think everyone knows about Hellball now. I think everyone knows how much Middlesbrough like to get on the ball and really dominate play with these really incisive, cutting forward passes, which just seem to catch the opposition off guard. It's a real joy to watch, to be honest, watching Middlesbrough at the moment. It was so impressive going forward, just having complete control of the game. I mean, the amount of managers that have come out after matches and said that Middlesbrough are the best side that they've faced in the league this season is absolutely mind-blowing, and it's hard to argue with it, to be honest. I mean, I know that I'm a little bit biased, but I don't see... I mean, you look at the table and you look at Millwall and you look at Ipswich. I don't think either of those sides are better than us. I don't think that either of those teams necessarily deserve to finish higher than us in the Championship table, and I do think that we deserve to go up automatically based on what we've seen so far. Of course, the table doesn't lie, we know. Still 10 games left in the Championship season, and of course Middlesbrough could slip up. We could see one of those sides going on a wonderful run of form between now and the end of the season. If Ipswich win all 10 of their remaining games, or 11 of their remaining games as they've got, of course that'll put huge pressure on Middlesbrough to keep the pace, but I just can't see them doing it. Both of those sides have showed that they've got the ability to slip up, and more so than Middlesbrough. I have more confidence in Middlesbrough grinding out their results than I do Ipswich doing theirs. I just can't see Ipswich putting in enough wins to be able to close that gap on Middlesbrough, really. I mean, yes, they will do. Middlesbrough will. I mean, we've got a couple of really tricky games coming up at home against Charlton and Bristol City. We slipped up last time out against Oxford and Leicester at home, so it'll be really interesting to see how Middlesbrough handle that when we face two sides who, in theory, and most likely will be sitting back defensively. It'll be a real challenge for Kim Hellberg's side to try and break those two sides down, but I think the fact that we have gone away, we've scored a hatful of goals against Queen's Park Rangers and against Birmingham previous to that, I think confidence will be good. I think it was the perfect time to play back-to-back away games, because for Middlesbrough it's been able to restore a little bit of confidence in the team, and so I think we'll attack those games with really high morale going into them, and with real ideas and spark and creativity about how we can break those sides down to ultimately get those wins that we'll need. But yeah, I think you look at the Championship table, and I do believe that Middlesbrough deserve to be in that top two. I think it's going to go right to the end. I do think that it's going to be really, really tight, but I'm not worried in the sense that I think that either of those sides are stronger than us, or that Middlesbrough will slip up, because I do think that Middlesbrough are certainly in the top two strongest sides in the Championship this season. I do think we deserve to be there. I do think we're there on merit, and I think, yes, that's down to Kim Hellberg, yes, it's down to the attacking quality, but I think it's also down to the mentality of the team as well. I mean, we just don't really seem to be succumbing to the pressure of the situation that we're in. It's always this time of year when clubs and sides, you really sort of see who can rise to the challenge, who can challenge, and who can who can sort of what am I trying to say? Who can sort of like adapt to the promotion race? There's always sides who kind of fall away and they can't handle it, and these must-win games, and the fact that you've got one side playing on a Saturday and another on a Sunday. Can a side keep to their own game plan? Can they secure that win when they know that they need to win to keep up with the other teams? Middlesbrough just seem to be doing it really easily, and I think that's down to the mentality of the players. It really is something of a secret weapon for Middlesbrough at the moment. I think that's down to a number of different factors. I think we've got some really, really good personalities in the team. I think when you look at leadership as a trait, I mean, you could argue that we've got it in all 11 positions on the pitch. Yes, we've got people like Dale Fry, we've got Luke Ayling, Hayden Hackney in midfield, who are all leaders, but then you look at Aidan Morris, Callum Britton, Matt Targett, Sol Bryn, Tommy Conway, all of these players, they're all leaders in their own right, so there aren't any players who need carrying through these matches. We've got 11 players who are all out there, they know exactly what they're doing, they're very comfortable in their own skin, they know what they're capable of, and that's proving to be really, really beneficial for Middlesbrough, I think, because no one really seems to be wilting under the pressure of this promotion charge and what we're trying to do, which is a really, really positive thing, particularly at this time in the season. Yes, Middlesbrough will probably drop points between now and the end of the season. Yes, there will be games where they are frustrating and stressful as we're trying to break down opposition teams, and that will come down to Middlesbrough's squad. It will come down to the technical quality of the players to be able to break people down, but I can't see Middlesbrough falling away due to mentality. Even when we had that little blip, those two games at home, there wasn't really any knock-on effect to it. Other teams, the heads would drop. It might lead to a 4, 5, 6 game without a win run, but I can't see that happening with this Middlesbrough team, because there's a real sort of inner confidence, a sort of inner steel about this team, which is really going to serve them quite well in the next few weeks, I think, because regardless of what happens, even if we were to lose against Charlton on Wednesday night or whatever it was, I'd back this team to have the mentality to go back, bounce back at the weekend and show what we can do, because I do think there's that inner confidence that we do have. I think everyone's fully on board with what Kim Hellberg's trying to do, which is brilliant as well. And I think that means that Middlesbrough are just in a really, really good spot going into these next couple of games. So yes, Charlton's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be another match where they'll probably sit deep. Middlesbrough will have to break them down, and so it will be up to Middlesbrough to try and do that, to make sure that we can do something that we didn't do against Oxford and Leicester. Bristol City will probably be the same thing, but the main thing is just going out there, picking up these points, getting these wins, and just really sort of starting to close that gap now on the end of the season. We're in a really good position in second in the table. Like I said, the other teams are clipping out our heels a little bit, but I do think that we're stronger than them. So I think as far as backing a team to be consistent between now and the end of the season, I'm more confident in Middlesbrough than I probably am in those teams to be able to go on an unbeaten run between now and the end of the season. We're getting a lot of plaudits. We seem to be rising to the challenge, and that's a really, really good position to be in. So a brilliant win against Queen's Park Rangers, a real morale boosting win. I think we needed sort of a win like that, a 4-0 win, a real thumping to get fans really back settled into this promotion race. Things getting a little bit nervy, but things are now looking up. And against Charlton, it's going to be a really, really interesting test. So we're going to have more content in and around that Charlton match. If you have enjoyed this, please do hit like and please do hit subscribe as well. Drop into the comments below and let me know what you thought about that Queen's Park Rangers game. And keep an eye out as well, because we are going to be launching a Bonkers for Boro podcast very, very soon between now and the end of the season. So that's certainly worth keeping an eye out for. But in the meantime, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch up with you next time.